Hey everybody! Today Rahdo runs down Karuba the card game, which is a fast-playing gateway-style family filler game where 2 to 6 players try to help explorers find their way through a jungle and collect lots of treasure. And the way it works is everybody gets their own deck of cards, and at the beginning of the game you shuffle it up and you have a hand of 1, 2, 3. Here's my 3. And here is Jen's 3. And everybody in secret looks at their hand and decides to play 2 cards. Now, you're playing them to add up their combined value, and that is the bid you're making to see who will get to explore the best in a given round. So if I use these 2, my bid is 17. If I bid these 2, I'm going very high with a bid of 22. Or if I go like this, I'm bidding a little bit lower with 15. Now, let's say I go with the really high bid because I don't want to take a chance on getting left out. So I've chosen these in secret. Meanwhile, my opponent has chosen stuff in secret as well. And then everybody reveals. And we tally up. Now, I had a total of 10 plus 12, 22. Jen only had 13. Whoever is the lowest player in terms of their bid every round only gets to play one of the 2 cards and the other one is out of the game. So it can be very, very painful to come up low. And so in my case, hey, I'm going to get to place both of these temples in my jungle to be found later by the green and the blue adventurer. Jen, meanwhile, she has to jettison either her green temple or this intersection roadway. And that's a tough choice. I guess she'll go on ahead and keep the roadway because if she doesn't have roads that can actually lead, then she won't find any treasure at all. So now the green adventurer on Jen's jungle will never be able to find the green temple, which is too bad, so sad. But then you continue on. The card you didn't play stays in your hand. You get 2 more, so I got another 13 and another 14. And once again, on the next round, I'm going to have to decide which 2 am I going to put into my bid. Here's a bid of 19 or a bid of 18 or a bid of 27. Now, everybody, like I said, has access to the same cards. And what's interesting is they can range to be very, very low values. And so there are going to be rounds where you just don't have anything good in your hand, and it's very, very likely that you will end up with a losing hand and not be able to place everything you want in the jungle. And when you think that's going to happen, you have to think long and hard about what card you are going to add to your bid, what cards, because one of them is going to get lost. Now, in Jen's case, because she's already lost her green temple, later on, if she ever gets a hand and she has her green explorer in it, well, she knows he's useless. He can't ever find anything. So on some future turn, Jen might purposely bid low with him because she doesn't care if she loses that particular round because he's useless and she still needs this road to continue building up her jungle. So there's a surprising amount of decision making when you're picking those 3 cards. Do you go really, really high and hopefully do everything you want? If you think you're going to be low, what are you willing to sacrifice? Now, at the end of the game, after we've won a few and we've lost a few, basically what will end up happening is you will actually check to see if everybody can actually make it to their paths. Like in this case, I've done a very terrible thing because when you place your cards down, they cannot be rotated. So blue, who wants to get down here, he's got to get all the way down around to this, and it's impossible to do because you can also never make your jungle bigger than a 4x4. So I have created a situation with this placement that prevents blue from ever being able to get to his jungle because he can't go all the way down around. But let's say if I had been building like this. Also, whenever you place a new card, you must put it adjacent to existing cards, as you might imagine. So, hey, in this case, he will actually make it to his blue temple, and he will score 2 points. But along the way, while I was building, if I could have been a little bit smarter about how I set stuff up, he can pick up crystals along the way, which means he scores extra points. Or even, if I can play my cards right, gold nuggets, which are worth 2 points. So in this case, he would score 5 points at the end of the game. But if I could have been a little bit smarter about how I built and had him travel like this, he'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Although there's another consideration as well that you have to pay attention to. For instance, here's my purple explorer. She wants to find her purple temple. So, say as I was building, I ended up like this. This is still legal. It's within the 4x4. And she wants to go, hey, I'll travel. Oh, I'll get a gold nugget. Oh, no, I can't. Because adventurers block each other. Blue has an uninterrupted path to get to his temple, but purple does not. So purple scores nothing. So, those are the basic rules about how you are going to create your jungle and what you're trying to do. At the end of the game, you won't have played all the cards in your hand. It just won't be likely because sooner or later you're going to miss out on a round or two and have to discard some cards. So with the cards that are remaining, were you able to get them into a good position so you can score lots of points? And that is what Karuba, the card game, is all about. The game actually comes with a little visual reminder that everybody can use to remember, right, when I'm putting this green temple down, it has a walkway out to the north. How am I going to make that jibe with the green explorer who goes south, west, or east? Because again, you cannot rotate the tiles. So this is something that everybody's checking quite a bit during the game to make sure they don't put themselves into an impossible situation like what you saw me do a second ago. Now, this is a very sharp little game. And man, Jen and I, when we play as a two-player game, I think we can get it done in less than 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. At higher player counts, I've actually played a 5-player version of the game, and even still, it's still an incredibly fast game because everybody picks simultaneously, everybody reveals simultaneously, everybody builds simultaneously. Now, one thing I will say is the more players you have, the easier the game gets because you're just going to be a lot less likely to be at the bottom of the bidding barrel. So more often than not, you will be able to build when you're playing with 5 or 6 players. When you're playing a 2-player game, half of the time you're probably going to lose. So a third of all the cards you want to play are going to be lost to you, and it makes the puzzle of how to build smartly that much more challenging. So it's interesting. The fewer players you have, the heavier it gets as a gameplay. The more players, the easier it gets. And I really like that, especially since Jen and I play it as a 2-player game. Now, primarily because we're 2-player gamers. So we've enjoyed it. It's a fun little fast 5-10 minute thing. Even still, it's a bit on the light side, but it is a very enjoyable romp through the jungle in Karuba, the card game. And that's the rundown, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.